Yesterday, we had ourselves a pretty interesting hockey game between the San Jose Sharks and the Ottawa Senators. This video isn't really going to be a recap of that, but the Sens did indeed win 5-2. You had yourselves goals scored by some names that you want to see scoring goals. Claude Giroux looked pretty good, 2 goals and an assist. Drake Batherson had 2 assists. Tim Stützle had 2 points on the night. And Thomas Chabot had himself a goal in the game as well. This was significant because with this goal, Thomas Chabot now has 200 points in his NHL career. Pretty good milestone for the guy. And if you go over to Sportsnet stats, you can see this is the list of Ottawa Senators defensemen who had taken the fewest amount of games to get to 200 points. Thomas Chabot did so in 332 games, beating out Wade Redden and Chris Phillips. However, there is a name on top of him that did the 200-point mark in a sooner amount of time. It's none other than Erik Karlsson, who was the opponent on San Jose in yesterday's contest. He scored himself an assist. One of the 2 goals scored by the Sharks in this one was a Karlsson point. And if you take a look at Erik Karlsson, you'll note that his point production has unfortunately slowed down comparative to what it was before. Earlier in the year, the guy was on pace for like 70 goals or something crazy like that, on pace for maybe 140 points or something, but he's only had 3 points in his last 5 games, which isn't bad. I mean, he's had 11 points in his last 10, which is still fantastic. It's just a big drop-off from what we had seen earlier, but that's okay because getting 150 points on a season isn't really all too sustainable nor projectable anyway. Karlsson right now has 33 points in 27 games played. If you do the math over the span of 82, he is on pace for 100.2 points. So he is still in that territory of potentially being the first D-man since Brian Leetch to reach the 100 triple-digit territory in one season, but this, of course, is only partway through the year. Now, yesterday, Karlsson did have himself some very nice moments. You saw the dangling on display, of course, you saw the assist that he got. But at the same time, when it comes to Erik Karlsson coming back to Ottawa, this is the first time where he's been back, let's just say, where he's actually looked this freaking good. We know that Karlsson was pretty alright after getting traded to San Jose in the first place because the team was still going far in the playoffs, etc., etc., but for Erik Karlsson, he was never this good ever since his days in Ottawa, where he was arguably the best defenseman in the gosh darn world. Nowadays, you take a look at the Ottawa Senators and their trade rumors. Hey, they're looking for a defenseman. Is Erik Karlsson a guy that they might be interested in? We've talked about this on a number of occasions, the idea of Karlsson getting traded back to Ottawa. But because yesterday's game featured both of these teams, the Sharks and the Sens, we had ourselves some more conversations happening involving Karlsson himself. There were some media questions thrown out there about the trade situation, about the noise, about the rumors, and whether or not Karlsson would want to play in Ottawa once again. Let's go over a few of these comments here and just kind of give the tale of the tape as to what Karlsson is thinking at the moment. Firstly, let's go over the Hockey Night in Canada segment wherein Karlsson was interviewed on TV. He did the little radio headset interview with the Hockey Night in Canada folks, and you had Elliot Friedman ask him about all the noise and what his preference is. Erik Karlsson then joked around and said that the noise was all Friedman's fault, and that he wants to win. Wanting to win is a pretty important part because Erik Karlsson is 32 years old. He's pretty much on the older side there, and he's signed till 2027, making 11.5 AAV. We'd always kind of known it, especially from the beginning when Karlsson signed that extension in the first place, that he's committing long-term to San Jose, and he was confident with the team, etc., etc. However, those sentiments were from years ago. Things are a little bit different now because the Sharks aren't winning too many games. And so when you go over to the idea of getting traded over to yet another team, Karlsson pretty much says the right things to the media. You don't want to go out there and say anything that's too drastic and brash. But then you have yourselves another quote. Erik Karlsson was asked by a member of the media if he would want to play in Ottawa again. Here's the quote from Claire Hanna's Twitter. "I don't know. It's so far away. If I had an answer to those questions, I would have changed my approach a little bit, but we can't live like that. I'm just happy to be here right now and playing at the level that I am." And I love what a lot of Ottawa Senators fans have gone out there and read this quote as. Because the main question that was even being asked here was, hey, would you want to play in Ottawa again? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I kind of like being here, but at the same time, I'm happy where I'm at, but I don't know. And so, I don't know does not necessarily mean no, which makes things interesting for fans that are trying to claw at the bit for any sort of resemblance of desire to leave San Jose in the slightest at all. Of course, I'm saying that really tongue-in-cheek, I'm just kind of joking around here, but Karlsson does not know if he would want to play back in Ottawa, which in the minds of a lot of Sens fans that I've been seeing is a good enough answer for sure. Let's go over onto an article published on mercurynews.com. This was written by Curtis Pashelka from earlier yesterday, talking about Erik Karlsson and how he's playing like a kid again as he returns to Ottawa. Here's why. There are a whole bunch of quotes from Karlsson himself about the way that he's playing and how he's really refined his career this time around, where he's actually producing a lot of points. Karlsson is driving so many things, and he's such a unique player from the back end that he presents real issues if you don't take care of that, said Toronto Maple Leafs head coach Sheldon Keefe, who saw Karlsson collect a goal and 2 assists against his team on October 27th. He really had his way with us when we were down in San Jose. This is what David Quinn said, the Sharks head coach. I kind of had a good feeling coming into camp that Erik Karlsson was in a different mindset for a variety of reasons, namely his health. Pause before you continue there, David Quinn. I do think that Brent Burns' departure also had a pretty interesting part to do in that conversation too, but either way, he was excited about the year and he's taken on some new responsibility just because of the way our roster's taken shape over the last 3 or 4 months. Yeah, cough cough, Brent Burns getting traded. He's embraced it, and you're seeing a Norris Trophy winning defenseman again. The article talks about how Karlsson is averaging more ice time now than he had last season, how he's averaging pretty much the same amount of ice time, or as much ice time, than he did when he was a prime member of the Ottawa Senators in 2017-18. And then it goes over the comments made by San Jose Sharks GM Mike Greer on Sportsnet that Karlsson recently told him that he's fully invested in being a Shark. So we'll see where that leads us. No doors are closed, Greer says, and if a situation comes up and makes sense for the organization, it makes sense for Erik, and it's something he wants to pursue, maybe we'll go down that road. So pretty much, Erik is in control here. Karlsson has the opportunity to pretty much dictate what it is and where he goes should he ever get traded in the first place. He's got a full no-move clause, and already the comments from the media are starting to seep itself in to interviews with him saying, hey, would you want to come back to Ottawa? They need defense, and you're a defenseman, and you're on the trade market, buddy. And he's like, I don't know. So, good enough for you? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what do you think about the comments here. Of course, I'm making a video about nothing. This doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. It's just a guy getting interviewed and giving probably the most basic answer possible. But of course, he didn't say no, right? He didn't say, oh, I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about getting traded anywhere else. I'm committed here and I want to stay here and I don't want to leave. He said, I don't know. And that his mindset and his approach would be a bit different if he had other thoughts about going to some other teams. So, a lot of hockey media is not what you say, it's about what you don't say. And for Erik Karlsson, obviously the guy has been an absolute phenomenal player this season, but that presents itself with new challenges as well. Whether or not his 11.5 AAV is actually going to be able to get traded with or without salary retained, and if a team like Ottawa is the team that is willing to bite the bullet. I know a lot of Sens fans have been saying the past little while, hey man, like Norris, Stützle, everybody is so good here, this was a great trade, but man does it hurt seeing Erik Karlsson dangle the pants out of us on Daniel Alfredsson night too, out of all times, because of course it had to be on this day with Karlsson in the building. But talk to the comments either way are your thoughts about Erik Karlsson and his comments regarding the trade back to Senator Town. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.